Hey everyone, this is Alvaro for littlefishaudio.com. We're here once again back in the Fish Tank studio. Want to say a huge thanks to everyone who watched our previous demos and reviews and shootouts. We're really happy about that. And today we have a simple but a fun review, or a demo rather. We're going to be comparing 4 different 500 series preamps, particularly the DI section. So we're going to go straight into the DIs of these preamps, and the reason for that is because it's a pretty popular technique nowadays, specifically because you can what's called reamp that recording later on. And what that means is that you take a clean signal directly through a pre or a DI, then you send it out the DAW after the fact to an amp or many amps, and you can essentially tweak your tone after the fact and really dive into that aspect of it. And besides that, some great clean guitar tones have been recorded directly into preamps. Namely, some of David Gilmour's most famous solos, I think, were recorded into an API pre directly. So we'll be able to hear a bit of that today and compare them. So we're working with 4 500 series preamps, like I said. And today we're going to be looking at the API512b, then the 512c, so its older brother, and then we have a Rupert Neve Designs 517. Now the 517 is a bit unique in that it has a compressor built in, but we're going to try to not use that. This is a modern Neve sound. And then we have a Phoenix Audio DRS 1R, and the Phoenix Audio is basically building upon the older Neve sounds. So we have 2 OSAs here, but they're currently out of commission, so we're going to stick to these 4 right here. So before we get started with the shootout, comparing these different 500 series DI sections, let's talk about our signal chain. Today we're going to be using my PRS CE 2001. This is a great guitar. I love it very much. It has 2 humbuckers and it has some split coil positions so we can get some nice stratty sounds. You know, the PRS is a great guitar. It's basically like a, as it was meant to be, a combination of a Gibson and a Strat. But don't let me get too involved in this. Let's jump straight into our demo, our shootout, and let's take a listen to these DIs. Alright, so here we are in Pro Tools land. We won't be needing much of that, particularly since we're just going to be listening to the sound. So I've plugged my guitar straight into the front panel of the 512b. Now this is pretty interesting because we have the 512b and the 512c here, so we'll see if there's any difference between them. Maybe we're just splitting hairs, or maybe there's a huge difference. So let's check it out. So here we have the sound of an API512b. I'm going to be using the humbucker position of the PRS. So, oh, my bad. Let's activate that within Pro Tools to get our direct monitoring going. So here we go. Let's take a listen to the API512b. Not bad, nice and full. Let's take a look at the humbucker position, see how the highs and the sharpness of a humbucker, excuse me, the bridge pickup react. Alright, so there's almost a nice breakup to it already. It gives it a pretty cool tone. And it reacts pretty nice to the transients. That snap really comes across without destroying the preamp. That could sound pretty nice going into a compressor. Right, nice EQ. All right, and just to make an example, as if we were going to reamp it. So it holds up pretty nice with, you know, some palm muting and some strong picking. So let's move over to the 512c, which I have right next to the 512b. All right, we're going to make sure that we have the input activated on Pro Tools. I'm going to go ahead and grab a pick here, which I should have been using earlier. Alrighty, so yeah, to be expected, it's very similar. I would almost argue that the high end is a bit more prevalent. You know, that could be for many reasons. It could be just my ears tricking me. It could be difference in overall volume. Or it could be, you know, newer components in the 512c and affecting the sound. But it's pretty, it's nice and crunchy. And it's very, very similar, very close to the original 512b. All right, so let's take a listen to the 512c with the neck humbucker. So nice, it's clean, you know, it's a bit muddy for me, to be perfectly honest. I think, you know, as a guitarist, we might be used to that shimmery sound, maybe of a Fender amp. But once again, the whole point is just to establish that initial tone that can later be reamped, you know. So when you're going through a nice preamp, you can bring out even more harmonics and, you know, more tone when you reamp it after the fact. So let's move on to the Rupert Neve Designs 512. Let's see what that has to offer, and we'll compare it to the 517 Rupert Neve Designs, and we'll compare it to the APIs. I should note that the APIs don't have an output level, right? So we're using the gain alone, which limits us in terms of being able to drive that gain and get even more crunch and distortion out of it. More mojo, if you will. But that's all right. We're just, you know, this is like an out-of-the-box demo shootout, so we're just comparing them for face value. And let's see what we've got here. All right, so here we are plugged into the Rupert Neve Designs 517. This, besides being a microphone preamp, also has a section specifically for the DI. All right, so let's hear a bit of that. Some great body behind that, some really great body. I feel like this one pushes the sound a bit more forward. Right, and we can drive the gain a bit. Look at that, we're overloading a bit. But we get a great tone. Right, so we'll put it back to something a bit more used. I have to say, I think I like this sound of the Rupert Neve Designs a bit more, as it has a bit more body to it. And like I said, it's just way more in your face. So let's just activate the compressor section, see how that sounds like with this DI, and ooh. Obviously preventing those transients, those peaks. Getting across, which sounds nice. I don't know that we'd want to do that on the front end, but it's always good to have. Maybe if we were tracking some vocals or something, we would use that. Alrighty, so let's move on to the Phoenix Audio DRS1R. I'm going to go ahead, unplug that, go straight into the front panel. Now this one is unique in that we can drive the gain at the front and then lower the output volume, so that'll give us more saturation. This once again is going for that classic British sound, arguably a Neve sound, so let's see what this has to offer. So I'll put the gain more or less in the middle. We'll activate the channel here on Pro Tools. Let's see what we got. Nice, very nice. I think this really matches up to the 517 up front, pushes it up front. Very full, very rounded. Let's see how it does. Let's see how it does with the transients. Not bad, not bad. And like I had said earlier, we can drive the front end a bit more. All right, lower the output volume. Great sound, great sound. I mean, I would love to push this through any tube amp, you know, and I think it'll bring out a lot of richness to it. All right, so that was the 4 different preamps. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply play the same riff through each one, and we'll just scroll through each one. There won't be any talking or any interruptions between each preamp. So that way you can take a listen, see which one you like, and you can let us know. So here we go. All right, folks, so there you have it. It's very simple, but an interesting shootout nonetheless. You know, each of these preamps is considered a contender nowadays in the professional studio. So you can see that each one has their own vibe to it. I think the APIs are a bit cleaner, a bit less aggressive, right? Less of a specific tone to it, less colored is what I'm looking for. Whereas the Neve has a bit more color to it, in the form of, maybe more aggressive saturation and a bit more up front. So it depends what you're looking for. If I were doing maybe a jazzy type playing, maybe I'd go for an API, whereas if I were doing more rock, I'd go for a Neve. So it depends what you're looking for. All right, so don't forget that littlefishaudio.com is a Miami pro audio gear retailer. So whether you're in Miami or anywhere else in the US, feel free to give us a call. We have some great deals coming up for Black Friday and just all around the years. So make sure you let us know and let us know what you thought about this shootout. Leave some comments, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you like us on Facebook. Thanks.